Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, respected panelists, our esteemed Pro-Chancellor, Professor Dr. Nida Hussain, and Acting Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. Abbas Zafar, and all attendees. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you at the 23rd interactive series of ZU Dialogues. My name is Zara Fawad, a student of second year MBBS, and today I am honored to be your host for this significant session, Fight Together Against Breast Cancer. Early detection saves lives. The aim of today's event is to highlight the critical importance of breast cancer and encourage proactive healthcare practices, ensuring early detection that could save countless lives. I would also like to take this moment to thank Sir Amir Shehzad, the convener of ZU Dialogues and head of PR and communications, for his continuous efforts in making this event possible and for giving me an opportunity to host. Sir Amir Shehzad, thank you. As with everything, we start by taking Allah's name. I request Mr. Rahimullah to come on stage and recite some verses from the Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. I now request everyone to kindly stand for the national anthem, followed by the Ziauddin University anthem.
जिलों में रोशनी लाई ज़ियाउद्दीन कहलाई ये यूनिवर्सिटी जहाने ताज़ा की बातें शऊरो आ गई रोशन नई दुनिया की सौगातें जमाले फन कमाले फन में जुस्तजू लाई ज़ियाउद्दीन कहलाई ये यूनिवर्सिटी यहाँ पर कस्बे इल्मो आगही रोशन फजीलत है ये सब कुछ साहिबाने इल्मो हिकमत की बदौलत है यहाँ इंसान और इंसानियत की बात होती है नया एक दिन निकलता है नई एक रात होती है यही है
As you know, breast cancer remains a critical health challenge, affecting countless families across our nation. In Pakistan alone, approximately 90,000 new cases are diagnosed every year. And tragically, more than 40,000 women lose their lives to this devastating disease each year. This translates to 1 in every 9 women grappling with this life-threatening condition. Such alarming statistics underscore the urgent need for us to come together, raise awareness, and promote the vital importance of early detection. At Ziauddin University, we are wholeheartedly committed to advancing knowledge and fostering a community of care. Our mission extends beyond education. It is about equipping individuals with the information and resources they need to protect their health and the health of their loved ones. This session is a reflection of that mission, and I hope it inspires each of you to take action. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge and express our heartfelt gratitude to the exceptional panelists who have graciously taken the time out of their busy schedules to join us today. Their expertise in their respective fields is unparalleled, and we are truly grateful to have them here to share their valuable insights. They represent the pinnacle of medical care and innovation in their respective fields, and we are very grateful that they are joining us and contributing to this important cause. I now kindly invite our panelists to come forward and take their seat on stage. Can I please request Dr. Nida Wahid Bashir, Consultant Breast General Surgeon, Dr. Afshan Sheikh, Assistant Professor, General Radiologist and Women Imaging Specialist, Dr. Faizullah Abbasi, former Vice-Chancellor, Dawood University of Engineering and Technology, Ms. Seema Kamil, former Deputy Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, Dr. Kurutulain Badr, Assistant Professor, Consultant Radiation Oncologist, and Ms. Amina Mujib Khan, Clinical Nutritionist. Thank you to our panelists. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce and hand over the floor to Dr. Adnan Abdul Jabbar, the esteemed chairman and professor of the oncology department at Dr. Ziauddin Hospital and moderator for today's discussion. Dr. Adnan's leadership in the field of oncology is commendable, and his commitment to advancing cancer care continues to save lives and push forward the boundaries of our understanding in this critical area. Dr. Adnan.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm really excited about this session. I'm sure you guys must be as well. Before we start, I would really like to thank the organizers for putting this thing together, because it's fairly important for us to talk about cancer. We all know about it, we all see things around us, but we never talk in the manner that we are supposed to talk. I would like to begin today's program by inviting our Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Nida Hussain, to please come on stage and give us a welcome address. Thank you very much, Dr.
Good morning, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It is my privilege to welcome all of you to the ZU Dialogue series. Our aim in this ZU Dialogue is to talk about things which are either pressing matters or things which are uncomfortable. Our goal here is to get panelists together to enlighten all of us about issues that are very relevant and important to society at large. And the dialogue also aims to bring everyone into the conversation and highlight the importance of whatever issues we are discussing. Today, we are here to talk about the fight on breast cancer. Early detection saves lives. And the dialogue aims to bring everyone into the conversation and highlight the importance of self-examination, regular screening, and mammograms for both men and women. Before we dive deeper into the alarming statistics and concerns, which I think our panelists will enlighten us upon, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible contributions of our panelists. Today, we are joined by some of the most respected voices in healthcare and breast advocacy and our survivors. Dr. Nida Wahid, Dr. Kurutulain, Dr. Afshan, Ms. Amna Mujib, Ms. Seema Kamil, and Dr. Faizullah Abbasi. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for being there today. Your expertise, dedication, and personal journeys inspire not just this audience, but the entire community at large. By sharing your knowledge and experience, you're not only helping us understand the medical aspects of breast cancer, but also shedding light on the emotional, psychological struggles that patients and families face. Thank you for being tireless advocates in this fight. I would also like to acknowledge Dr. Adnan Jabbar, who has tirelessly been setting up our oncology department and is the chairman of the oncology department of Dr. Ziauddin hospitals. His dedication to this field is invaluable, and his insights into breast cancer make him a key figure in advancing early detection and treatment efforts. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nida. All right, so before we start questioning our panelists, I want this session to be interactive. So please, if you have any queries, any questions, feel free to ask, feel free to raise your hands, because we want this session to be really meaningful at the end of the day. So before we start, for our panelists, by the raise of hand, how many of you are students? All right, faculty? All right, and nursing? Very well. So that gives us an idea that the kind of audience we have. So let's begin with our radiologist, because the first question that comes to our mind is, we talk about screening. What really is screening?
Screening is basically the detection of the cancer at its early stage, which is like when patient is not having any symptoms. And that is basically with the mammography. So screening is needed at 40 years of age in general population. But we have to detect the stratification in the patients. These may be minor risk and the major risk. The minor risk is the early menarche, जो कि patients जिसमें early periods हुए थे, like at 10 and 11 years of age, and in patients which have the late menopause, and the patients who have females who have the are the nulliparous and who are unmarried and who have not breastfeed their child. So these are the minor risk factors. The major risk factors include the positive family history. If the patient is having the positive family history, so like their mother, their grandparents, and their daughter, their sisters have the breast cancer, so the patient is on the high risk of developing the breast cancer in the future. So that patient will need the screening mammogram at the earlier stage, like at maybe around 35, 36 years of age. And the detection may vary, like from mammography we can go for ultrasound and MRI of the breast, which are also very important for screening of the patient.
So thank you so much for a very elaborate answer. You know, one question that still a lot of our people have is that radiation is a cause of cancer. And when you talk about mammogram, that also poses a risk in their opinion. What do you have to say about that?
So the risk of radiation is very, the radiations are very low, like they are in millisieverts. So that does not cause any patient prone to develop the breast cancer. These radiations are very minimum. They does not cause any risk factors of developing the breast cancers or any other thing.
Right, good. Do you have any idea what's the percentage of our population who is actually getting screening at this time?
It's very low percentage right now. Very few people are like, I'm not sure about the exact percentage in Pakistan, but very few people are coming for screening. It's not very well known for the, even for the females, they are shy and they are not coming for the screening, but it's very important to decrease the morbidity in the patients because of early detection. The easy will be the surgery of the patient, easy will be the treatment of the patient, so early detection is very important in females.
Dr. Nida, do you want to comment on that? What is the opinion of patients and people whom you meet about screening?
Yeah, so I think it is, as Dr. Afsha is saying, it is the modesty, the cultural modesty that actually inhibits most of the females from going for regular screening. And I'm not just talking about those who are not educated or who are not aware. Even those who are educated and well aware are not very comfortable with exposing their breasts for mammogram. So I think there is inhibition, cultural inhibition. Also, the access is a problem.
Let's ask our audience.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them are medical students.
Yes.
By the raise of hand, how many of you know someone who is either undergoing treatment for breast cancer or any cancer? Do you know anyone who's a close relative or someone? Okay. And how many of you in your family do mammogram? In fact, let me take that question one step backwards. How many of you already know about breast mammogram as a screening tool? To my surprise, it's less than what I was expecting amongst medical students and students, right? How many of you have had someone done mammogram in your family? So that's the number. I think it's 20% right now in the crowd, but we all know it's less than 5%. Even in first world countries, the number of people who are doing mammograms is fairly low. And as you correctly said, it's modesty plus it's a cultural taboo. Let's ask our survivors. Your thoughts about screening? What were your thoughts before? Is this something that you ever thought about before going through this process? Obviously, for Dr. Faz, it must be different, but Ms. Seema.
Thank you, Dr. Jabbar. I went to countless pink ribbon events, okay? Because being in banking, they like to educate their staff, and the HR would have this event, and I would force everyone to wear pink ribbons. And I particularly focused on the men because I was very keen that men should come to these sessions. But I never had a mammogram myself. And I can't tell you why. It was not modesty. I think it was fear. It was that something might happen, something may be there, and let's not do it. And by the time that I actually felt the lump, then I went off and had a mammogram and ultrasound and all that. And thankfully, it was early stage. So it was still, I would say, to some degree, or at least as how I define it to myself, it's early detection. But if I had had the mammogram when I was 40 or 45, I would maybe have not had to go through chemotherapy, and I wouldn't be wearing this turban having lost my hair. So I think it's very, very, it was just silly of me. Just negligent. Didn't think about it. But many people are scared and many people can't afford it. So those are also some reasons.
Well, I think that turban is your, I'm blocking on the word, but it's something that you should wear with pride, because I consider all cancer patients as heroes. The endurance, the persistence that you guys show is unremarkable. Yeah. G, go ahead.
Gigi, I mean, you're right. But it's also because of the stigmas attached, if we can be honest about this. Because of the stigma, or sab log dekhte hain ki isne ye kyun pehna hua hai? Right? So I have to choose between wo isko dekhe, ya they should see that now I have quite a bit of hair actually. I'm just waiting for it to be a little longer. But ya also kahen ki ye ganji kyun hai? So it's hard and people stare. And that's what our society, or any society, is like. I was reading about this woman and she said, people look at me and this was not Pakistan, this was the West, which is supposed to be more tolerant of stigmas like that, but that's how it is, and therefore there's this fear, and you may call us heroes, but also we have no choice.
Well, yes, correct, you didn't have choice, but how you took it upon, and a lot of patients that we see, they do not either undergo treatment or they do not do it with the perseverance that they should.
Yes, perhaps.
Definitely.
Perhaps.
Well, while you have the mic, tell us something about yourself so that the audience know, and then we'll carry on the conversation.
So I'm basically a banker by background, and I've been in banking about 35 years. Most of it was with commercial banks, and I was fortunate to get very good positions, and so I've always enjoyed my work very, very very much. So it was mostly getting up every morning and being really glad to go to work. And I think that's a great blessing, really. And at the end, when I finished at United Bank as CEO, then I went to the State Bank and was deputy governor. And then I reached the age at which you have to retire, so I retired. And about a month after retirement, I got the diagnosis happened. If I was really honest with you, I knew there was a lump there even when I was retiring. But I was trying to think, and you know how you Google everything? I just Googled and thought, oh, it might be a cyst or something, right? And so I just put it off for a while until my husband said, you've got to do something about this. So that's about how I went about it in my personal background.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. We always say breast cancer only involves women, but as you can see, men are also involved. Dr. Faiz, do you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I was surprised to know that female are shy in going for screening. How did I feel when I went for one? So, being a male, my journey started 6 years ago when, early detection, as it says, should be a very important factor. I only had an itch, and I thought it was an ingrown hair or something, which is very logical for a man. So I went to get it checked by a surgeon. And when I went to the surgeon, he got my family history, which is not very good. My sister had cancer, my poo had cancer, and all kind of stuff. He said, no, you must go to a breast clinic. For a male to go to a breast clinic, I was a little taken aback. But when I went to the breast clinic, it was so embarrassing, because they were all women there. I was the only man guy there. And the oncologist told me that go and get a mammograph done. Oh my God, I never thought men can also go through mammography. So it was just terrible, it was tougher. And I got the mammograph done, and a needle biopsy probably was done also. And it was diagnosed as carcinoma. So, how did I take it? For a minute, Dr. Saab knows it, he is my oncologist. Not for a minute I was worried that I'm going to die like tomorrow. Okay, so it's good that I have come to know. And so, I went through the process. Went for my surgeries on both sides, and after surgeries went through chemo. I also had a loss of hair. And I tell you one thing for males, it is so difficult to, well, I would, if somebody would ask, I would say, well, I've got cancer. But that's good enough. But they would ask, what kind of cancer? And that was so embarrassing. I said, you don't want to know. He said, no, come on, tell us. So I would say, I've got breast cancer. And they would have a smile on their face. Oh, wow. They did not know. But yeah, it's a very rare occurrence in males that I know. And I remember that one of my uncle had it, now that I reflect back. So I think it is in the family that it happened. But yeah, I took it in my stride. My wife was very concerned. Obviously, she thought that I'm going to die. She's an immunocompromised guy. So when COVID came, I used to take 2 masks on me that I was immunocompromised. It was so suffocating. But it's a sad story, but I've taken it in my stride. In 2020, my wife got COVID and she passed away. So I was supposed to go, but she went before me. So cancer doesn't mean that it's a killer. You can get any kind of disease and die. So what is the problem? Now, the only scare I have now, after 6 years, the only scare I have when Dr. Adnan every 6 months tells me to go and get lab reports. So when I go and get my lab reports, I'm so scared to pick them up because I don't know what's going to go wrong. But yesterday I had that. I got my reports The first thing I see, I'm very bad at reading reports. So the first thing I see, is there any red? There was no red. So I said it to him. I said, can you see? How do they look? He said, you're perfect, normal. So I feel so happy now that I'm still alive, I've got nothing wrong in me. So my advice would be, don't get worried if you have cancer. I mean, as she said, she had a lump but she delayed. Never do that. You are the only one who knows your body well than anybody else. If there's any variation in something, you must get yourself checked up. Don't delay it, especially in a case of cancer. It's very important. Just a small itch. Who gives a damn about an itch? But I thought, no, it's better to get it checked out. It's very important. Don't take your health lightly, please. But that's what I can say for the day.
Yeah, symptoms, a small symptom can be a symptom for malignancy. Dr. Nida, could you want to highlight some of the other symptoms of, because typically people say, I didn't have any pain.
Yes.
A baby came and hit me in my breasts. That's when I started, so.
Yes. So I think yesterday I was talking to some other audience, and this is exactly the point that I was emphasizing, that it is the painless lump that is the most sinister thing. And most of the women say, उसमें कोई दर्द नहीं था, that तो मैंने सोचा कोई खराब चीज़ तो है नहीं. So it's one thing that everybody should remember, that breast cancer does not have constitutional symptoms. So you don't lose appetite, you don't lose weight, you don't have anything else. All you have is a painless lump, and that is the most important feature. Others can be the blood-stained nipple discharge, which is not picked up really early because people are not examining breast, and the method of self-breast examination teaches you to examine your breast and press the nipple to see the discharge. A change in the shape of the breast, but that will also be picked up if you're examining your breast. And I always talk about that not everybody has a bathroom attached to their room. So they do not have attached, but it is very difficult for females to examine their breast on a routine in average female. So best thing is to, on once a month, the bathroom mirror serves very well. So just stand in front of it and have a look. So a change in the symmetry of the shape of the breast is something that can be picked up. The point is that whatever it is, if you just go and get examined, 80% of the time it is not sinister. It's only 20% of the time you'll find something which is significant.
So can you also comment what is the best time for pre- and post-menopausal women?
Yes. So for pre-menopausal women, the best time to examine your breast is once you finish your menstruation. So easiest thing, because it is otherwise difficult to remember. So when you're taking a bath post-menstruation, that is the time to examine your breast, on the day when you take a bath, right? So for post-menopausal women, it's good to have a day fixed in the month. So it can be first of the month. आप कोई काम खास करते हैं उससे अटैच कर लीजिए अपनी तारीख को. So आप किसी को तनख्वाह देते हैं, आप कोई शॉप अपने महीने की शॉपिंग करते हैं. If you do it on a particular day, just fix it. On that day, I will examine my breast.
Dr. Korat, what about men? When would you recommend them?
Thank you, Dr. Nida. And thank you, Dr. Nida. I have so many questions as well to ask from you as well as from Dr. Afshan. Sir, if you allow me, can I ask from the audience something?
Please.
Okay. So, what do you think? What's your role as a medical student sitting here, just listening to us and just bypassing this time of 1 hour? Or what you think? What is your role as a society, as a medical student? Any one of you? So, what we expect from you is to spread awareness. So, we all are here for one reason, that is awareness, that is early detection. Just wanted to extend Ms. Seema's thing that yesterday I was in one of the awareness sessions at National Bank. और जब मैंने उनसे पूछा, they were like कि जी, we are attending these seminars for last 2 to 3 years, 4 years maybe. और जब मैंने उनसे पूछा कि ठीक है, आप में से कोई एक टेक होम मैसेज लेके जाते हैं for the self breast examination, आप में से कितनों ने प्रैक्टिस किया in the last year? 12 महीने गुजरे, कितनों ने प्रैक्टिस किया? सर आई वॉज सरप्राइज कि सिर्फ उन 50 और 60 में से 4 या 5 हैंड रेज हुए. सो दिस इज़ द वेरी सिंपल थिंग विच वी कैन ऑल डू एट आवर होम. उसके लिए कोई पैसे नहीं चाहिए, कि जैसे आपने कहा कि मेमोग्राम के लिए ऑब्वियसली कॉस्ट आ जाती है तो लोग फेयर की वजह से नहीं जाते, या दूसरी बात होती है कि कहीं कोई चीज़ निकल ना आए. बट ब्रेस्ट सेल्फ एग्जाम इज़ अ वेरी सिंपल थिंग विच वी कैन ऑल डू एट आवर होम्स. और वो सिर्फ 40 ईयर्स या 50 ईयर्स के लिए नहीं है, दैट शुड बी स्टार्टेड एट द एज ऑफ 20 ईयर्स. तो आई थिंक जो यहाँ पे ऑडियंस में जितनी भी लड़कियाँ बैठी हैं, दे ऑल शुड स्टार्ट देयर सेल्फ ब्रेस्ट एग्जाम एट द एज ऑफ 20 till 40, and then we have to start with the imaging, mammogram करवाना है. तो self breast examination is also considered as screening for what? For early detection. ठीक है, तो एक ये चीज़ ज़रूर जहन में रखिए. दूसरी चीज़ हमारे जहन में होती है कि हम तो इस एज कैटेगरी में फॉल ही नहीं होते. 40 years, 50 years, 60 years के बाद की बात है. Last week I have seen a female of 27 years without any family history with the diagnosis of breast cancer. और डॉक्टर निदा बताएंगी कि we have seen so many young patients of this age. तो ये सोच लेना कि जी हमारे लिए बातचीत नहीं हो रही है और हमें तो बस हम आके बैठ गए हैं और हमने बस सुनना है या हमने टाइम पास करना है, या हम लोग भी जो बैठे हुए हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली हम सबको इसी में शुमार करना चाहिए कि एज अ फीमेल वी ऑल फैल इन दिस कैटेगरी, और हम में से किसी को भी हो सकता है, और हमने क्या चीज़ सिर्फ करनी है, अर्ली डिटेक्शन. तो आई थिंक दैट मैसेज शुड बी प्रोपोगेटेड. एंड एक यहाँ से एक पूरा कहते हैं ना, एक समंदर में से क्या है, कतरे से दरिया बनता है. तो हम लोगों ने वो दरिया बनाना है, बिकॉज अर्ली डिटेक्शन से ही हम मोर्टेलिटी को कम कर सकते हैं. अर्ली डिटेक्शन से ही ऑब्वियसली लाइफ सेव्स हो सकती हैं. अर्ली डिटेक्शन से हमारा क्योर रेट बहुत हाई हो सकता है. तो सारी चीज़ें उसी एक जगह के ऊपर आके आ जाती हैं.
So, what percentage of cancers are sporadic, यानी खुद से होते हैं, as opposed to familial?
So,
Marusi.
Yes, so I think 30 to 40%, and maybe more than that, they are sporadic. Only 50 to 60% they are.
95% are sporadic, only 5% are familial. तो अक्सर लोग कहते हैं ना कि हमारे ख़ानदान में तो नहीं था. वो ख़ानदान वाले सिर्फ 5% होते हैं. Rest of them are mostly sporadic. We are exposed to all these environmental factors. अक्सर वो इकरारुल हसन का प्रोग्राम आप सब ने देखा होगा जो टीवी पे आता है. What's the name of that show? Saryam, right. Be vocal. I want you guys to get involved. Yes, Saryam. That is the reason for malignancy, right? So हमारे यहाँ 95% cases जो हमारी माहौलियात है, the kind of things that we eat. And when we talk about eat, we have Miss Amna with us. So how much food contributes towards your health and cancer development?
Thank you, Dr. Jabbar. Basically, our lifestyle and our eating habits. So we don't have a structure. We're eating a lot of junk, a lot of supermarket food, which we don't realize is all packaged. हर चीज़ डब्बे में आ रही है और हम समझ रहे हैं कि हम महंगी चीज़ जाके जो डब्बे में जितनी ज़्यादा महंगी होगी, और ये फ्रूट दुबई से आया है और यहाँ फ्रिज में पड़ा हुआ है और it was picked before it was ripe and it's being sold to us. So we actually think that going and spending that money and buying these expensive boxes of packaged food is really healthy. It's not. It's your food which is locally grown, locally sourced, locally bought, seasonal. That is what we need to eat. And we need to eat a balanced diet. ये नहीं कि एक मैक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट पे आप फोकस नहीं कर सकते कि बस सिर्फ प्रोटीन खानी है, क्योंकि वज़न कम करना है तो बस प्रोटीन ले लें. So you have to eat the carbs, you have to eat, I'm referring to all the young kids at the back. You have to eat no keto, no putting pressure on the kidneys. So you have to eat the carbs, you have to eat the proteins, you have to eat the fat and the good fat. क्या है good fat? Walnuts हैं, eggs हैं, दही है, ये सारी चीज़ें, स्पिनच है, ये सारी चीज़ें आप अपनी डाइट में इनकॉर्पोरेट करें, और बजाय प्रोसेस्ड चीज़ें खाने के आप इन नट्स और सीड्स से अपनी हंगर और क्रेविंग्स को बचा सकते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स यू आर एट द कॉलेज द होल डे लॉन्ग, सो यू नीड फूड दैट विल कीप यू गोइंग. कीप एन एप्पल एंड अ बनाना इन योर बैग. Why should you go to the stall and eat a samosa? So because you're not going to exercise at all. दूसरा 30 minutes of exercise per day, 5 days a week. चाहे हिस्ट्री है नहीं है, हेल्दी लिविंग, एनर्जी लेवल्स को मेंटेन करने के लिए, एक सेहतमंद लाइफस्टाइल को अडॉप्ट करने के लिए एक्सरसाइज बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. इवन आफ्टर कीमो यू मस्ट मूव अ लिटिल बिट, ताकि क्योंकि आपका जो मूड है आफ्टर कीमोथेरेपी इट अफेक्ट्स योर मूड, सो योर मूड गेट्स बेटर इफ़ यू move or do some sort of flexibility exercise like yoga or Pilates and so on.
What about sugar? Role of sugar in developing cancer?
So that actually I thought I covered it in under processed and packaged food, donuts, anything sugary. देखिए जो चीज़ मैदे से बनी हुई है ना वो आप कम से कम खाएं, ज़रूर खाएं, लेकिन उसको मिनिमाइज कर लें एज अ ट्रीट और ऑन अ संडे और मे बी जस्ट, बट हम 2 चम्मच नहीं लेके छोड़ते. अगर मैं आपको कहूँ कि आप डोनट रोज़ खा लें और 2 टीस्पून उसके बाइट के ले लें, लेकिन then you have to put that spoon down. Would you be able to do that? If you can, go ahead and eat that donut, but just 2 teaspoonful. So you have to stay away from bakery items, ye jo sub packaged biscuits. This is what's actually ruining our gut. And if our gut is not working, our mind is not working, and our other organs which are all related to the gut will not work. So we basically get unhealthy, or one thing leads to another and so on.
Coming back to our superheroes, how has this experience changed you?
It's been a year, and thankfully, and I must thank Dr. Jabbar for his, not just his professionalism, but also his being so kind. So 1 year is over. I've had my 6 months of chemotherapy, 3 weeks of radiation. That year just changed my life, actually, because I was a working woman going out and I was expecting another job, and all of that had to be put on hold. फिर उसके बाद अगर आप मुझसे पूछे हाई और चेंज, तो आपको एक्चुअली उनसे पूछना पड़ेगा जो मेरे सारे रिश्तेदार हैं या मैं लोगों से जिनसे मिलती हूँ. They will tell you how I've changed, right? So some of my friends will say, oh, you're very brave, and you know, आपने बहुत सब्र से किया. If you ask my husband, he will say something else, right? Because he is my principal. वो रोज़ मेरे साथ होते हैं तो वो थक भी जाते हैं मेरी खिदमत करो, ये करो, मैं तो बीमार हूँ, and all of that. So I think everyone will have a different experience of me. For my own self, inner, I think it's an odd thing to say, but there are some gifts in this. There are gifts that I think God gives you. हम उसे आजमाइश भी कहते हैं, but आजमाइश से कुछ और भी होता है. You feel, and I did, a much more real and deeper connection spiritually with God. जब सब कुछ ठीक होता है, everything is going good, आप जब दुआ भी करते हैं वो एक किस्म की रूटीन हो जाती है. But when you're going through something like this, it's a different connection. I'll tell you something. When I used to go into that, जो radiation में होता है ना, that it's very, very freezing cold, actually. But when you go in there, and they've set you up, and then they leave you alone, and there you are, I found that a very amazing time to pray, actually. So there are many gifts, and then also the gifts that you get जो दूसरे लोग आपके लिए दुआ करते. And I had Hindus, Christians, Muslims, everybody who came and prayed for me and said, we are praying for you. And so इसमें I think खुदा की तरफ से बहुत blessings भी आती हैं. It's a strange thing to say, because it's also a very difficult thing, but the support you get, the love you get from some people very close to you, obviously, like your husband or my brother. My brother lives in Canada, he's a psychiatrist, hardly comes, but he came. And he phones me now every single day. पहले तो कभी-कभी बात हो जाती थी. So there are gifts in this also, which you learn. So I think that's how you change as a person. And लोग इस कैंसर के नाम से डरते हैं और कीमोथेरेपी से और भी डरते हैं. But maybe because I was relatively early stage और कोई spread नहीं था, I found chemotherapy to be not as unpleasant as you might think it ought to be. अब आप सब सोचते होंगे कि उसमें बहुत nausea और उल्टियाँ होती हैं, right? I didn't even once feel nauseous. So I mean, and everybody was shocked. Radiotherapy के आप जल जाएंगी, तो कोई नहीं जली. So I think those are also things जो advancement भी आई है. डर ज़रूर लगता है. When I was told 6 months chemotherapy, I was saying to Dr. Jabbar कि उसको छोटा कर दें. 6 months seems like but then it was the right thing to do. So I think that's how I changed, and that was my experience of it.
I'm not surprised you're not the first one who's saying that this might be a gift of God in finding your inner self. Dr. Basi.
Well, in my case, I got cancer when I was working as a vice chancellor. And so I went for my surgery, and you'll be surprised to know that I was released on the very second day after surgery with some 2 pouches hanging around me for the bleeding that comes out. In that condition, I went to work. I never let cancer detract me from work. So my advice would be that if you have cancer, please don't become abnormal. Continue your normal activity. I used to work 7 days a week. And now, when I went to chemotherapy, she says it's not tough. It was tough. But now, after the fact, then I've done it. So the first 3 days of the chemo were difficult, where I would be on the bed. But after 3 days, I would go back to work. And I would work for 2.5 weeks or whatever was left. And then I will again go back for my chemo. I had hair loss. Now, the 2 things which happened were very good for me. 2 things. One is, after the hair loss, I've got beautiful hair. Oh, that's chemo. So let's be positive about chemo. You don't get good hair afterwards. Huh? Secondly, what happened was I used to smoke 2 packs a day of cigarettes. I was so fearful, but डर के मारे, I left smoking. वैसे, it's so difficult. Ask the smokers how difficult it is to leave smoking. But just because of cancer, I was so fearful of the fact that I just stopped cold turkey. So I'm off smoking for the last 6-7 years. There's a good part of cancer, and obviously I have hair. And now that I've retired last year, I still keep myself busy because that's very important. Because if you let your mind, as they say, mind over matter, if you let your mind get worried about cancer, you're gone. So what I did was, after retirement, I went into a village and I'm teaching mathematics to village girls of class 9th and 10th. That keeps me busy, and it is such fun. I mean, it's so gratifying. It's all voluntary. I mean, it's never been so gratifying a job that I've done that I'm doing now. Besides that, I read books, which I'm very fond of. And if I want to tell you a secret which Adnan knows, is that I play the guitar. So remember when I was having chemo, I used to play guitar from the age of 12. So when I was having chemo, my wife thought that he's going to die. So she gifted me a keyboard. And she said, play on the keyboard. So I started karaoke on the keyboard with my guitar. And now that she's gone, I play 1 song for her every evening. And that gives me such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to remember her and give her a tribute every day. And it's quite a big, heavy file that comes out because my driver is also a TikTok geek. So he takes my videos. Huh? And then I do text his phone memory, and I send him every day a song. Okay, today is this song that I have played, and he enjoys it, I'm sure. But yeah, never get cancer come over you. Never. I mean, look at me. I mean, I tell people, do you think I'm a cancer survivor? I mean, do I look like one? No. Come on, take your life. There's so many things in life. Life is still beautiful. I'm 71 years and still, you don't know. I might die because of something else. So where's the problem? So keep yourself busy and keep happy. Keep on smiling. For God's sake. I mean, normally जिनको कैंसर नहीं भी होता है वो भी बड़ा मुश्किल से हंसती हैं या हंसते हैं जो कैंसर होता है वो तो बेचारी बिल्कुल ही खत्म हो जाती हैं तो don't do that to yourself. You just don't, that's your own self you're hurting. So keep on smiling, keep happy, keep busy, and help people if you can. That's, I think, is the bottom line of my experience.
Dr. Abbasi is being modest. Not only he teaches mathematics voluntarily in the village, he has adopted that high school and he has worked towards upgrading and building a new building for that school. And he, since after he adopted that school, the attendance is now more than 80%. And not only that, they participated in many competitions. They used Chat GPT to get their annual magazine out. So they're doing a lot more, many things that never happened in that school. So he's making a difference in a lot of young girls' lives.
How would you see? I had a computer lab set up from donations that I got from friends and family. And for the first time, the girls saw a computer. So I said, I was trying to tell them, do you know what's the mouse? So they said, Hasi, chua? No. This is the mouse. And I told them how to right click and left click. Can you believe it? The appetite was so much in these girls that the very next day they were on MS Word. And they were typing away things. Now they are making PowerPoint presentations and they give presentations in their classrooms. I mean, there was a presentation on mental health. Oh my God, from Dhamra. You know, it's amazing. Or climate change. Very in thing. Nowadays I've started health awareness. What's the blood pressure? What's the body mass index? So I've got them a weighing machine, a blood pressure instrument, and a temperature thermometer, digital. And the girls start doing it for the whole school. Oh, and I saw one of the girls, her pulse was 164. So I said, what's happening? She had never had a blood pressure strap around her. So she said, I was okay. So, see, they're getting used to what health means, personal hygiene. It's an amazing experience, I tell you, and I would like to invite all of you to come and visit me, be my guest there and see how it looks. I'm getting a net connectivity also, and there are shortages of teachers in there. There are lots of things that I will not try to say. But I've got retired professors who are my colleagues in engineering. They have volunteered to give lectures in physics, chemistry, whatever shortage I have. So if I have a net connectivity, I'll beat this deficiency by the technology that can come in. So there's so many things to do and so many things to say. But thank you very much.
You talked about mental health. Dr. Nida, you want to talk about that? How important is mental health with the diagnosis of malignancy?
Yes, I think it's for women it's a major setback when they get the news. And these stories are very enriching, and it's like I'm happy to be here because I'm listening to most wise people in Pakistan. So it was actually moving. But these people are with support system. Most of the women seek support, and I think their mental health is at stake because there's not enough support available within the family. I think people who are sitting here, there are many men also sitting here. And I think most important thing that men need to remember is that they need to support all those women who get breast cancer or even for screening. And when we see a lot of time, what we get to see is that women do not find time to get the screening done, and that is linked to the way the family moves. So I'm happy that you people had a good support, and you're composing music and sending it to others, but most of the women don't. And I think that is where we need to focus.
I think you are absolutely right. 80% of our patients do not have that kind of support where the men will allow to have mastectomies. In fact, they would put pressure on patients that they should not undergo mastectomies. Their father-in-laws would not allow patients to get chemotherapy. So there has to be a lot of discussion and talk about this. Talk about this with your people who come and work at your houses. Talk to them. That is real awareness. We always talk about, we come here, we do these discussions, we go home, we talk to our family members, but we do not talk to our drivers, we do not talk to our people who are working at your home. Support them, inform them, teach them. That is your job, not only as a medical student, but as a public person. That's your public, The other thing that I would like to talk to our survivors is, you went through this, how important was it? Family support, you did talk about your husband, your brother right by your side. What about from medical profession? How important is it, the support when you are going through chemo and survivorship issues?
I mean, your medical team is vital. And of course, you know and you expect and you have checked, hopefully, that they're very professional. They're well qualified, they know their work. But more than that, I think you need them to be accessible. And I've got Shumaila there, who is the most accessible person. Thank you, Shumaila. Because, and Dr. Saab, because you get funny ideas, you get silly fears, and you need someone to reach out to. And your family can't do it because, yes, and I actually, after about 2 months of this, I actually swore to myself I will not go to Google. Because all it does is petrify you. And I think even the very good sites like the Mayo Clinic or whatever, I think they protect themselves by telling you the absolute worst in case somebody sues them or something. And it just is terrifying. So I think the team which sets your fears at rest is this very, the first the night before I got my first chemo, I found out it was going to be doxorubicin. Yes, if I have the name right? And I read it, I thought this is the most frightening thing in the whole world, right? And I couldn't sleep all night. And then when I went there the next day, expecting something to happen, actually nothing happened. I was fine. And I actually had a very nice, you won't like it, but I had very nice processed food, samosa, which I enjoyed. I'm not saying that everyone will always enjoy chemotherapy. That would be very wrong of me, because at different stages it affects people differently. But in my case, the team supported me. There was a nice relaxed atmosphere, and it wasn't like, when I was first discovered and I talked to my breast surgeon, I said, okay, now she and people are clinically, doctors are clinically, so she just examined me and she said, biopsy to main kar rahi hu, but this looks like something more serious. And so I got off that examination bench and I said, okay, is this the kiss of death? And then she said, no, it is not. And that's what we need to know, that cancer is curable. Not all of them, depends on the stage. It can be very serious, but it is curable. And I'm seeing people on TV which are at stage 4, and they look reasonably okay. Maybe there is no cure, but they seem fine. So it's not this, we are scared to use the word. Jab log mujhe kehte hain, they say, we believe you have a serious illness. वो लफ्ज़ भी नहीं use करना चाहते. We have to get over these things. They want to say कि जी, मैं आपके लिए दुआ कर रहा हूँ, सुना है कि आपको बहुत serious illness है. वो लफ्ज़ भी cancer use नहीं करना चाहते. I think we have to get over that.
That's absolutely true. In fact, you were just saying that we should change the name of this disease. Yesterday, a patient of mine said, asked his mother for the first time, who is 12 years old, "Mom, do you have the C disease?"
Yes.
So there is a lot of fears. I would love to keep on going with this discussion. It's just that we are a little short on time. Quick myth busters. Let's start with you. Biopsy spreads the disease.
लोहा लग जाता है तो बीमारी पूरे जिस्म में फैल जाती है. That's the statement, and at times I have to spend like half an hour to convince the patient कि लोहा लगने से बीमारी नहीं फैलती, and then I have to give them the research.
Mammogram causes cancer.
सब इसी तरह ही आते हैं पेशेंट्स. मेमोग्राम के साथ हमें ब्रेस्ट कैंसर डेवलप हो जाएगा. इवन बायोप्सी जो आपने कहा, बायोप्सी के साथ भी उनके साथ बहुत ही उस तरह होता है कि जब नीड लग जाएगी तो फिर ये तो फैल जाएगा. तो इस तरह की बहुत सारी चीज़ें.
Cancer is contagious.
Not at all. Not at all. But if you allow me, talking about the support structure, I was introduced to Dr. Adnan by Dr. Wajia from Chicago. I was there, I showed her all my reports, and she said, "No, you must not take a second chance with cancer. Go for your chemo." So she called him, and I was his patient since then. So I had a wonderful experience with a very solid oncologist that I could get. But then besides that, I was pampered by my wife for the first time in my life. I mean, I tell you, and I think I made a lot of dramas in her that I am dying and all that. She used to really take care of me. And I know that she used to feed me because you lose your appetite at times. So she used to even feed me. So, I mean, the support structure, and my children who were all in America, they used to call me, they used to come, and, I've been the head of the family. I used to pamper everybody else. But this time it was taking back all that. Huh? So, yeah, I mean, it's not contagious, for God's sake. It's not like, like a mosquito. I would say, but you can overcome it. But breast cancer, if detected early, has very good prognosis. That's what I've heard. I mean, you're not going to die that quick. It's going to take some time. That's the human body resilience, I would say. God has made us that we could fight things out. And that's only if you could put it in your head. Now, if you want to die, you will die very soon. I mean, if it's in your head that I'm going to die. So, lots of things, huh? Great. Thank you, Adnan, for calling me and having to talk to the students. I'm sure they must have enjoyed it. And, I was a vice chancellor, and vice chancellors are very fond of speaking. They would never stop, And God forbid, and it's a public sector university especially. And God forbids, if he's a retired vice chancellor, he's even worse. So I hope I have not bored you for that, but thank you very much for hearing me out.
Last 3 minutes. Ms. Kamel, is chemotherapy painful?
No, it is not painful, and radiation is also not painful.
Right, that was my question. Radiation causes second malignancies. Do all patients get radiation?
So no, not all patients, but those who have conserved breast, they all need radiations, and few of the mastectomy patients needs radiation.
Last but not the least, what about microwave? Does that cause cancer?
No, it doesn't cause cancer, but it's rays. So I suggest that it should not be in your kitchens. That's all.
But then we need to talk about that. Right. Well, as I said, I would love to continue this conversation, but I'm really thankful to my experts, including my superheroes, for coming today, spending their time and talking to us about a very important disease, which is more than 60% of all cancers in Pakistan. And among these, you do know that most of them are stage 3, stage 4, just because a lot of these factors that we talked about, where they sit, they don't do anything, they do not have support to come from villages, and they just prolong the diagnosis to stage 3, stage 4, where your risk of not curing goes high, when your cost of treatment goes high. So please do talk about this, discuss with your family members, discuss amongst yourself, and talk about screening. It is a very benign procedure. It does not increase your risk of malignancy. You do not have to have symptoms in order to know that you have malignancies, and it is a life-altering experience for most of you. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to invite my please come and invite our next.
Before concluding the session, I would like to invite Captain Retired Waqar Hussain, the Registrar of Ziauddin University, to please come on stage and say a few words.
Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. Nothing to say with this august house, but I had been the opportunity and was fortunate enough that I'd worked with Dr. Basi. He was the Vice Chancellor, I was the Registrar of the Ziauddin University. So he is not only the survivor, but he has given life to many people by all the times once we knew that is having a cyst. And he always just quoting, yeah, what happened to me? Normally it's cancer is normally familiar with the women's and the females. And why this has been done with me? And I tell you, the Bhai Sahab, I have not heard him, but I have seen during the period of his chemo, he used to come to, he goes from the office and you come back to the office. As he says, her wife has pampered, he has been pampering her wife and she has been giving the just feeding her. Normally, he used to feed other people and he never forget. And honestly speaking, he is not a great survivor, but he has given many lives to the people by his attitude, by his performance, by his conduct as a Vice Chancellor. Because it's a difficult time for him, and the university which he's been heading, it is not a small thing. It's a great job done by him. It's kind of worst university at the time when I joined him in 2015. I was graduated from the same university, same college rather, but he was the Vice Chancellor. I was fortunate enough, I was the star with him, and he just gave life to the students of that university. सो डॉक्टर बासी के लिए जो दूसरे अल्फाज हैं, मैं आई एम सॉरी कि ये बड़ा बुरा वक्त था वन भाभी की डेथ हो गई. दैट्स अ बैड टाइम कि वो कोविड में गई. एंड नॉर्मली जब भी बात हुआ करती थी मेरी मिसेस अब्बासी के साथ, वो कहते थे कि भाई आप मौजूद हैं तो आप इनको थोड़ा सा होप्स दें, थोड़ा सा. मैंने कहा भाभी मैं उन्हें क्या होप्स दूँ, वो तो हमें सबको होप्स दे रहे होते हैं. वो हमेशा मतलब कहते हैं कि आई एम फाइटिंग, नॉट फाइटिंग विद एनीवन, आई एम फाइटिंग फॉर माय, आई एम नॉट फाइटिंग फॉर माय लाइफ, आई एम फाइटिंग फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ दिस यूनिवर्सिटी, ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग. तो मैं बर्दाश्त नहीं रही कि मैं डॉक्टर बासी जब मौजूद हूँ उनके सामने, मैं उनके सामने ज़रूर बोलूँगा. लेकिन ये बड़ी एक बुरी थी जब मैं वहाँ से छोड़ के यहाँ आ रहा था, डॉक्टर बासी मुझे नहीं आने दे रहे थे, तो इनकी मिसेस ने मुझे टेलीफोन किया था. फिर आधा घंटे मुझे मोटिवेट करती रही कि वाई यू आर लिविंग, बिकॉज ये वहाँ मौजूद हैं, इनको कुछ ना हो जाए. लेकिन इट वॉज़ वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट, उनकी डेथ हो गई. और ये अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह जिंदा और सलामत है, माशाल्लाह इनको ज़िंदगी अता फरमाए. ये अपने लिए नहीं जी रहे, ये दुनिया के लिए जी रहे हैं. एंड वी बीइंग गिविंग मैक्सिमम टू द नेशन. थैंक यू सर. अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to invite Professor Dr. Abbas Zafar, Acting Vice Chancellor of Ziauddin University, to share his closing remarks on the ZU Dialogue.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of this important discussion on 23rd interactive series of ZU Dialogues with the title of Fight Against Breast Cancer, Early Detection Saves Life, in observance of Pink Ribbon Day, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to everyone involved in this today's event, a success. A special thank you to our esteemed panelists, Dr. Nida Wahid Bashir, Dr. Afshan Sheikh, Dr. Qurratulain Badr, Ms. Amna Mujib Khan, and of course our moderator, Dr. Adnan Jabbar, an oncologist whose deep expertise has provided invaluable insights throughout today's discussion. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks once again to Dr. Faizullah Abbasi, Ms. Seema Kamil for the incredible courage in sharing these stories with us today. Your strength and resilience inspire all of us, and your openness helps others to see that they're not alone in their battles. By sharing your journeys, you are helping to save lives, and for that, we commend you. On a lighter note, Abbai Saab, मैंने आपकी बात सुनी that you lost your hair and you said आपके बाल उससे भी अच्छे आए. जब हम जवान थे हमने भी सुना था कि टेंट करा लो बाल अच्छे आएंगे, हमारे तो कभी नहीं आए. So you have been lucky in that sense. Today we have had the opportunity to engage in a conversation that is not only critical for healthcare professionals, but for every member of our society. Breast cancer, as we've learned, does not discriminate. It affects men, women, families, and entire communities. Yet, despite how pervasive this disease is, we must acknowledge that it continues to be surrounded by stigma and taboo in a part of our society. These cultural barriers prevent open discussion, deter people from seeking timely medical care, and leave those affected to suffer in silence. The seriousness of breast cancer crisis cannot be overstated. As a doctor, I was deeply shocked to hear that during the discussion that approximately 900 cases are reported annually in Pakistan. And tragically, about 40,000 women lose their lives each year. This is a grave issue. The ratio of deaths to survivors highlights just how critical early detection and awareness are. But we also need to ask ourselves how many more cases go unreported. If 90,000 are reported, how many others are missed because of lack of awareness or the stigma attached to seeking medical help? These are not just stats, it's a call to action that is not a taboo and should not be treated as such. We must speak about breast cancer openly and without fear of judgment. Silence only exacerbates the problem. The more we speak, the more we can raise awareness, encourage early detection, and save lives. We've discussed the importance of education, the need for more accessible healthcare, and the power of sharing personal experience. It is through conversations like these that we challenge societal taboos, dispel dangerous myths, and encourage individuals to take proactive steps towards their health. Early detection saves lives, and each of us has a responsibility to spread this message, especially in communities where talking about breast cancer is still considered off limits. As we leave today, I hope that each of us will take what we have learned and bring it into our homes, our communities, and our professional lives. Let's be advocates for regular screenings, supporters for those undergoing treatment, and voices for continued research in this field. Together, we can create a future that breast cancer is not something to be feared or shrouded in secrecy, but something we confront directly and win against. It has given me a sense of pride hearing about today's awareness session marking the 23rd series of ZU Dialogues. This platform has always been and will continue to be a space for meaningful discussions on pressing social issues, whether it's breast cancer, mental health, societal concerns, or topics often considered taboo. I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Mr. Amir Shahzad for his tireless efforts in making this possible, and I encourage him to continue organizing these impactful dialogues in the future. Thank you once again for your time, your attention, and your commitment to this cause. Let's continue the dialogue beyond this room and together toward a healthier, more open future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words. As we come to the end of today's thought provoking session, it's clear that the importance of early detection and screening in the fight against breast cancer cannot be overstated or delayed. I want to take this opportunity to deeply thank our respected Pro Chancellor, Professor Dr. Nida Hussain, Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Abbas Zafar, and esteemed panelists whose expertise and dedication to advancing health care have made this event truly enriching. A special thank you to Dr. Adnan Abdul Jabbar for moderating today's session and guiding us through this complex and crucial topic with such clarity and insight. And of course, to you, our attendees, your participation today has been instrumental in making this dialogue a success. At this point, I would also like to invite Captain Retired Waqar Hussain, Registrar, Ziauddin University, to present shield to our panelists.